she's bald, she's beautiful, and she's blue. Let's get cracking on this Nebula review. As you can see, I've got Hot Toys Nebula here from Avengers Endgame. She's the first Endgame figure that I have gotten, which is mainly Hot Toys' fault. I pre-ordered Captain America like a lot of people did about 2 years ago. And we're still waiting. So eventually I'll get him. But in the meantime, I decided to pick up this lovely lady here. She got an amazing response from pretty much everyone that I've seen talk about her. Everybody that I know that's gotten the figure absolutely loved it. And she's been one of my favorite characters for quite a while, so it just kind of seemed like a matter of time. Now, while there are a ton of great reviews on her, I don't think there are any that necessarily discussed the few issues that I particularly had. So we're going to kind of go through it real quick. I'm going to try and make this fast, just because, like I said, there is a ton of info out there already, but just to kind of go over some things that you may not have seen or really had much attention brought to. Now, normally, I would start up at the head and work the way down. But today, I think we're going to go versatile. I'm going to bring the power from the bottom. We're going to start down on the feet and work our way on up, mainly because most of my issues are on the bottom of the figure. So I figure we're going to get those out of the way. That way you know what I'm talking about right from the get-go. Now, if you haven't heard, she doesn't have the best of feet. There's obviously really, really good detail and paint app on the boots. They look amazing. Very, very cool in that regard, but they're not entirely flat, so the heel and toe don't particularly line up. Not sure if that's going to focus very well. So she does have some trouble standing. There's also no real articulation in them, so it kind of makes it difficult for her to get into a ton of different poses, at least from the foot and ankle perspective. Moving on up, her knees are pretty much fine, but you can see as they bend, the actual articulation spot, the joint there, puts a little bit of stress on the outfit. So you're not going to want to bend her legs very much either, just because that could wear it down over time. Now I'm probably just going to have her standing up more often than not, but I would love to have been able to kind of have her, leaned up against a wall with one foot on it, something like that. Maybe I'll still do it, not too sure. Going up a little further, her pants are amazing. Like the detail on them is just absolutely exquisite. The holster is phenomenal. Really everything they did here, truly outstanding, except for the fact that because they're so tight, it does severely restrict her movement. So you're not going to be able to do much movement at all. Now, granted, they do make her donkey look dynamite, but again, really can't do too much. So, like, for me, if I, could do anything, I'd probably have her, like, sitting man spread on, like, a crate of weapons, looking at a gun or something off in the background of a display. Not really going to be an option, specifically just because of the material in the pants and how tight they are. Again, it's not really too big of an issue in some ways because it looks so darn good, so I can certainly overlook that. But if you were thinking you were going to get a bunch of articulation, at least in the lower half, you are not going to. So you almost might want to think about this as more of like an articulated statue, where she's basically going to be standing in the same pose and you can kind of adjust her arms, upper body, etc. Now she does have a couple cool little features with her belt. She's got this really, really gorgeous gun, which I will take out real fast if I can, maybe. It's a two-hand operation. There we go. The gun is absolutely incredible. They did a great job with that. Hopefully we'll get a little focus, maybe. Come on. It's going to be a jerk. Take my word for it, or watch Jetta Patrol's video, and you can see how pretty it is. The gun is gorgeous. The holster works really well for it. The problem I had was actually attaching it. You do have to attach it, and I didn't realize how much of a pain it was going to be. You've got these two little plasticky loops that you have to fit through those metal hoops, and it was just kind of annoying. Not anything to not get the figure over, but just something to kind of brace yourself for. It was a little tedious to get that in. Also, she has these little back loops here to insert her collapsed nightstick. The problem that I had with it is a very snug fit, so I didn't really put it in all the way. I'm probably not going to at any point, unless I have her posed where you're going to see her back, which is not too often. I think I'm just going to leave that because I don't want to risk ripping these straps over time, and I think just by constantly pushing this in and out, that's going to happen. Now, the only other issues that I had with her were articulation points, and I think that's something that I don't really recall a lot of people talking about, so I'm just going to kind of show you what I mean. Now, personally, I hate when you can see the articulation spots on figures. You can obviously see it on her head, which is going to happen with most figures. That's not really the end of the world. Her head sculpt does hide it very well, though, depending on the angle. And while we're on the subject of the head sculpt, I mean, just take a moment and look at that. I don't know what kind of sorcery they use for this. Clearly dark magic. I got nothing. I don't know. But this sort of mysticism is amazing. I'm surprised it's legal. But, you know, we get cool toys out of it, so good for them. But as you can see, you can kind of see the little neckline there. More importantly, on the robot arm, or robotic arm, whatever you want to call it, cyborg arm, fancy part arm, this one. You can very clearly see the articulation spots on her elbow, which, if you look at photos, it is noticeable when you're looking for it. But if nobody really points it out, depending on how she's posed, you don't see it necessarily. Actually having it in hand, it's a lot more noticeable than I first thought, so that was kind of a bummer. Also, the wrist on this particular arm, you really can see the kind of separation. It's not going to focus too well, maybe. There we go. So yeah, you really can see the separation there, which not terrible, all things considered, but it is one thing that, you know, I didn't necessarily notice just from initial photos of the figure, and didn't really see a lot of people talking about. So that's something that bothers you. It does bother me a little bit. Just be kind of mindful of it. Now, I'm going to go with the easy option you may have seen when we initially started the video. I just kind of have her posed, you know, somewhat like that, to where you're not seeing that arm, and then bam, problem solved. Or I'll even do something, you know, maybe a little like that. Hide the old hand behind it. That way you can get a little bit of the shine, know that she's got the metal arm, but you're not really picking up on those articulation points. You can kind of hide it. You just got to play around a little bit. Same with the neckline. And it's pretty easy to work with. But those were a couple little small, tiny issues that I had with it. Other than that, on the figure, man, oh man, did they crush it. Like I said, there are so many good reviews about this thing out there. Really, you can believe every single one of them, because for the most part, this thing is dynamite. Accessories, she doesn't come with a ton. She does come with a pretty cool base. It's kind of the standard endgame one. So there you have that. And then she comes with a couple different hands. She's got 3 different of her flesh hand, and then 2 different robot hands that you can swap out, plus the ones that are already on there. So you can get her to hold most of what she's got. Her guns, and then her stun batons. Now, her stun batons, she does come with 2, and they have this weird little energy stuff that you kind of put on them. Now, I honestly think these look terrible on every figure, so I probably won't use them. However, I do really... I'm immature, and I like being able to make the pun that she's got big stick energy. So I might honestly end up having her displayed with this, just so I can make that joke, you know, at least 30 or 40 times before it gets old. And eventually then I'll go to, you know, not having it on there. But for now, the possibility of doing that is too high. So more than likely she'll have that there. And these things, they do just slide on. There's not really a clip on or anything. So you could probably play around with them a bit. Whoops, I dropped stuff. You've probably noticed that before. So overall, if you are thinking about getting this figure, one of the other reasons I did want to do a little review on her, at least a quick one, price on her starting to go up. I got her through Amazon for about $5 over retail. I don't like buying through Amazon when it comes to these, but $5 over retail I couldn't pass up. But I do see her going, in the 270s, 280s in a lot of places, and from there, not long before she's going to be 350, 400. Don't know if we'll get another Nebula. We might get one for the What If show, but if you like her, definitely jump on this one while you can and while she's not too expensive. So that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you had a great one, and take care.